Back for another episode of the Coast Boys podcast. We're joined today by Eddie Alvarado. Gabe, what's up? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited for this interview.
Eddie, how are you?
I'm excited too. A little nervous.
You feeling good?
Yeah.
Dude, don't be nervous, bro. It happens. I get nervous too before everyone, and we'll just start flowing, bro.
Yeah.
So why don't we just start off, just explain a little bit about yourself to people that don't know you?
Yeah. Eddie Alvarado, born and raised in Ukiah, California. 27 years old. Yeah.
Where did you go to school at?
Ukiah High.
Ukiah High?
Yeah, Ukiah High. Graduated in 2011.
And then from there?
From there, I went straight to the JC, Santa Rosa Junior College.
Nice.
Yeah. Did 3 years there and then transferred out to Azusa Pacific.
And you finished out there?
Yeah.
What'd you major in?
Yeah. Organizational leadership.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did that. It's sort of like a business management, not so much on the business side of things, but yeah, man. Organizational leadership. Finished off online. Like I went physically for my 2 years and then I always say I dropped out twice. So I dropped out, came back, and then dropped that back out.
Of Azusa?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then finished up online.
Right on.
Nice.
And at Azusa at the JC, you're playing soccer.
Yeah. Played my first year at the JC. First team to not make it to playoffs under that.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
That's a bad accolade to have.
Yeah.
That's hella funny.
And took a year off, did a dumb move up to Washington for about half a year, maybe a little bit more. Then came back and played my second year.
Right on, dude.
Nice.
And then from there, you went to Azusa to play there?
So it was another year that I not took off, but just trying to get my school stuff situated.
Okay.
And then, after my kind of gap year, I went on to Azusa.
Right on, bro. Yeah, so we'll get into that. We'll get into that after. That's honestly like a bigger reason why we wanted to get you on here, because you have a really good story, you know? Also, you're from Ukiah that's not necessarily a small town like Fort Bragg, but it's kind of, I would consider it a small town. You know what I'm saying? You blink, you would miss it on the freeway, you know? But like, growing up, like what kind of steered you towards that direction? Like growing up in Ukiah, did you have any aspirations of going to school? Like, did your parents go to school?
My dad has a second grade education.
Okay.
It's
very common in the Hispanic community, bro. Like working is the lifestyle.
Yeah, my dad actually graduated from high school, and that's like rare. Like most of his brothers and stuff didn't graduate high school. My mother graduated or went to 7th grade. That's the most she went to.
Damn. Did your dad drop out for like a specific reason?
To move to work, obviously.
To work?
And then to move to the States. I think he moved here when he was like 13, 14.
Whoa, that's young.
Yeah, that's really young. Was he in Ukiah the whole time?
To my knowledge, yeah. He was in Ukiah for the most part.
Right on. And growing up, like when you would need help in school, I see like who would help you?
Early on, man, it was probably my mom.
Your mom?
Yeah, but I was not the best student.
Yeah.
Like school was not like what a typical student would take like 30 minutes to an hour. I'd take 3 hours.
Do you think what do you think it was? Like you just couldn't focus or you couldn't comprehend the stuff? Because growing up, bro, like that was my biggest problem in my classes is I like would read, especially with reading. I was really bad with reading, and I would read stuff and not be able to like comprehend what I was reading. To where like at that level in elementary, like I would sit down with the teachers one-on-one and we would kind of go over what I read and I wouldn't be able to explain it. So that was always my kind of issue growing up. I'd have to read something twice or kind of dive deeper into it to understand or try to break it down, you know?
Yeah. And that's sort of kind of my story too, because I could read 10 pages and then my mom would ask me, so what'd you read? I can't tell
know. Yeah.
I have no idea.
Dude, I don't know what it is, bro.
Yeah.
But so like I see like growing up in high school, do you feel like you needed extra help? I see like would you seek extra help, or do you feel like once you got into high school or to like kind of going towards college, you kind of got a hang of it, or how would that go?
No, man. I was not a good student, like through and through. Yeah. I wasn't. From skipping class to like being at school and like knowing the material, but just not turning stuff in.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you turn it in? You just didn't care?
Didn't care, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just didn't care. And I came in freshman year, like just thinking like a punk, you know? Like, I literally remember vividly pissing the teacher off first day of school.
On purpose?
Yeah.
On purpose.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
And that honestly, like, so it was like a group project and it was, I want to say English 1A, but it was like the freshman English to prepare you for college, right?
Gotcha.
And it's supposed to be like this more professional type of setting. and I drew a smiley face on one of this like this kind of display that we had to do in a group, in a smiley face with your middle fingers coming up, and the teacher was just, she was done, bro. She kicked me out that first time.
She wasn't having it.
Yeah. Not kick me out, but just kick me off of that.
Yeah, just kind of like, I'm not gonna deal with this kind of thing. What do you think it was? Like, do you feel like you were just hanging out with the bad clique back then? Do you feel like you just, what was it like?
Doing it for attention?
Probably, to be honest. Like, and it wasn't even so much the attention. It was just like, you got a little bit of confidence in you and you make people laugh. And now you're looking for that.
Absolutely.
You know? So
bro.
Yeah, in a sense, it was
from your peers.
It's like a drug. You're kind of addicted to that, making everybody laugh type of feeling. You know, that's something that I had. I dealt with too, bro.
You
like,
struggle with that.
I was a punk too. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And the funny thing is too, is like I was a shy kid. I was known as a shy kid.
Oh, okay.
So I think just once I got that thing kind of going, you know, people think you're funny. You kind of want more and more and more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel that. And growing up, like, did you play sports growing up, or what did you do with like what extracurricular activities would you have?
I mean, growing up, dude, it was typical childhood, like riding bikes around the neighborhood, skateboarding, just running around, throwing baseball around. Like, I didn't know what baseball was. It was just what everyone was doing.
Yeah.
I got into sports, more structured sports, when I was probably 10. That's when I started playing soccer.
And it was just soccer?
Yeah, just soccer.
And it was just like, I see local leagues in Ukiah, or what was it?
It was the rec league, the UVYSL. Or I don't know if it still exists even now. But yeah, it was the rec league. You guys know Pepe, right?
Pepe Hernandez.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pepe Hernandez. That's the boy.
Yeah.
Play with him on Soul.
So
the baller.
His dad had a rec league team, and it was a year above mine. So a year or two, because I think Lupa, his older brother, was on that team.
Lupa's also a baller.
Yeah. And I jumped on to play one game, and I was a goalie. And that game, I got 10 goals scored on me.
Really?
Oh my God.
And that first game was the last game. I was like,
I would never want to play again.
Yeah. And that was when you first started playing?
Dude, that was my first game ever.
Oh my God.
Like against other kids in a structured setting, environment, whatever.
Yeah. It must be so embarrassing.
Yeah, dude, my dad told me, I cried, bro. I cried off that game.
Yeah.
Like off the field. And my dad told me, like, go turn your shit in.
What?
Yeah. He's like, you're going to cry if you're not going to go back, turn your stuff in.
Did you?
Yeah, I didn't play the rest of I just played that one game.
Oh my God. No.
Damn, bro. But isn't your dad when I first moved into Ukiah, I would hear a lot of things about your dad. I see like that he would coach the team and this and that. So like, did he play growing up?
He played.
Because he has knowledge of the game, you know?
Yeah, he played men's league, and he got into it. So a year after that, I started playing like rec league on my own team and like actually playing.
Yeah.
And I remember the guys who were coaching couldn't really make the commitment to continue coaching. And so they asked my dad to, start coaching. My dad said, yeah. And all he knew was how to play. He never really coached whatsoever. But there's sort of a backstory to it too, but it kind of helped him with it was sort of like a therapy to him. Okay. So he picked up books, started watching videos, like drills and all that. And we were just little kids. Like, it was just like playing around, but that's kind of, he got into coaching.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of his story. But he jumped into coaching me specifically that year. And that was my first year of playing rec. Yeah. And I think my only year. And then the year after that, I got into what was known as Pumas.
Yeah, Ukiah Pumas. Yeah. So I heard a lot about them. Like that they were just like, that they're actually a pretty good team, And every time they come for back, they'd smack us. But I didn't play back then, so I just hear stories,
Yeah. So I started playing there. I played a year up because there was not a lot of kids my age playing. And I can't remember if he was the assistant coach or the coach, but that's kind of where.
And he was involved coaching you?
Yeah, that's where you got heavy, like into coaching.
How was it having him as a coach?
Was it tough, man.
Or tough?
It was tough. Early on, it wasn't so tough, simply because he was kind of learning the process too, of like coaching and teaching other kids.
Yeah.
But just growing up and having him as a coach, because he coached me in high school too. He coached me up until Pumas, up until I went to United, which was like 13, 14. But he coached me in high school too. And it's just tough, man, because you, as a kid, sometimes at your games, you just want your dad there. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand. You just want somebody to support you.
Yeah. And so him being my coach, I can take him as my coach, but a lot of times we'd go home and like I still didn't have my dad. I had my coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so in that sense, it was bad, or not bad, but it wasn't like the best experience. But I look back at it now, and some of the things that he did tell me as a coach, you can kind of relate to as like him telling me as a dad. So it was interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you say your dad was kind of like is it like a tough love type of guy, or is he?
For sure.
Yeah. Because my dad's the same way. But I didn't get coached by him. You can relate. Yeah. Like your dad coached.
I had a very similar experience too, where like I'd go to games or practices or whatever, and he just expects me to do everything perfect. And so when I would mess up, he'd be much harder on me than the other kids, and he'd just be like, "Come on, like you know how to do this. Like you need to do it right." And so like I'd constantly be trying to like impress him or show off or whatever just to get his approval. Yeah. And then when I wouldn't get that, like I'd just go home and I'd be really like down on myself. I'd be like, God, like he yelled at me today, or he said I did this wrong. Sometimes I feel like maybe it helped me become a better player because then it made me like try harder and to try to impress him. But at the same time, I feel like that kind of affected our relationship where I felt like I really couldn't go to him and talk to him about other things. Or like when I went to him, it was soccer related. That's it. It was soccer or work related or something to do with money or whatever. And that's it. I would go talk to my mom about other things. Yeah. So I can see that.
No, it was very much the same. And we look back at it now and we can both kind of talk and say, hey, like, you know, the way we went about things, we could have probably done a little bit different. Absolutely. And so it's kind of nice for him to recognize that for sure later down the line. But yeah, definitely. Growing up, it was a little tough. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's good that you guys can like look back and both learn on it, you know? Because I know I do have a lot of friends that like they have resentment towards their parents because of those experiences. But so it's good that you didn't really do that, you know what I'm saying? Or you can challenge and make it positive. But I was gonna say like that. It makes sense why the coaches' kids are always like some of the best players. You know what I'm saying? Like they get like the extra coaching even at home. Maybe that might be the sacrifice of you know, like having a parent at home. But I spoke about this before, but like there would be times where I would like see Gabe's dad or Junior's dad like coaching from the sideline, and I was like, dude, I want that so bad. Yeah. But then again, it's like I don't know what it's like, so I'm just like on the outside looking in, you know. But maybe it was best because like my dad wasn't really into like sports. He would just go for moral support. Yeah. And after when I wanted to talk to somebody about like, dude, I should have done this. Even at the collegiate level, like when he would come watch my games at Mendo and stuff, like I'd tell him like, dude, I should have done this. I should have done that. You played well. Like you're fine. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, dude, you don't know. Like I wish I could just like talk to you. Like I would talk to like a coach or something, you know? Yeah. But it was always, I see just like moral support and stuff.
For sure.
But, so you mentioned that you did go to San Jose United. Yeah. How was that transition from being like a small town kid and like picking up the game? I see you getting coached by your dad and then transitioning to like a bigger level, a higher level in that club setting.
So when I first transferred to San Jose United, they classified them as gold and blue, with gold being like the higher caliber players. I wanted to go to gold, but the roster was already too full, and you had some badass kids there. Yeah, like some good players. Yeah. I knew I could prove myself once I was in there, but I obviously had to kind of go up the ladder. So I started within the blue team, and it was honestly the same. It was just probably a little bit more structured.
In the gold? In San Jose United.
Yeah, with gotcha. San Jose United in general, but with that blue team, it was just more structured in that like the practices, kids are kind of a little bit more committed. Yeah. From a parent's perspective, they want them to be there just because it looks good on a resume and whatnot. And so you kind of get that a little bit more of a professional feeling going there. And then I got invited to a couple of tournaments with the gold team, and I showed pretty well. And probably like 2 weeks after my first invite, I was on the gold team after that.
And how did you even get connected with San Jose United? Was it like just your dad kind of seeking clubs for you, or how did that
I don't remember specifics. I just remember Joe had just moved into the area. Joe Williams, head coach for Mendocino, or not head coach.
He coached the girls. Yeah. And he was assistant coach.
And I think he was just telling my dad, like, if you want him to get better, like, Santa Rosa is the way to go. Yeah. And so I think that's how it all started. And I wanted to do that. And surely enough, that's kind of how I made that jump.
So when you were there, was it just like a seed planted in your head? Like, I want to start playing college ball, or that's a goal, or what aspirations did you have?
Yeah, it was very early on though.
Yeah.
It was very early on. Like, let's just see what comes about. You know? And so, yeah, I mean, the end goal was to play college ball and to get a scholarship somewhere maybe. But yeah, definitely that's why I made the move. If I didn't want to, I probably wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. And when you were ever there, like in that club setting, I see obviously you're surrounded by a bunch of better players, you know, like you said, more committed. So they're going to be putting more effort into the game, you know, and it's going to show. Yeah. Did you ever feel like maybe insecurities or I see a difference in your level, maybe your mental game, your physical game, your technical game from the other players? Was there anything like that maybe you felt insecure about compared to the other guys?
I think mentally it was just a challenge for me because it took a while for me to break out of my shell going there, you know. Over in Ukiah, I was known as this decent player, and I come here and I show well for a tournament, but you still kind of have to earn your spot. You know, you've made it, but that's not the end of it. You kind of have to, you know, show yourself. And so, yeah, it was difficult. Like these kids were on the ball technical. And so I was kind of just like getting into that transition of getting touches on the ball, being around these players that are so versatile, dynamic, and technical. So it was overwhelming at first, but it made me better just being around those players.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy.
Would you go like practices twice a week and then games on weekends, or what was the structure like?
Yeah, so it was crazy, man.
Hey, just make sure you're talking to the mic.
Oh, for sure. My bad. It was kind of crazy because I was still going in high school to Ukiah. And so my dad worked in Santa Rosa off Airport Boulevard. And so on practice days, he'd have to drive. In the morning, he'd drive to work, drive back to Ukiah, drive back to Santa Rosa, practice for about hour and a half, 2 hours, and then drive back home. That was 2-3 times a week.
Did you realize what sacrifices he was making at that time? Or because, man, that's a lot of time and money.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, you realize it, like the time you're kind of like taken back, you know, like that's a lot of time. You could be doing other stuff, you know. And then obviously as you grow older, you kind of look at it from a financial perspective. You're like, damn, that's, you know. So yeah, and to be honest, that's kind of one of the reasons. If I didn't play well, like at a certain weekend or at a tournament, my dad would be pissed.
So he would go to all your games on the weekends?
Yeah. My family was pretty supportive when it came to going to my games and tournaments.
That's good, man. Like that. And do you still talk to any friends from Santa Rosa United? Do you still know the guys?
Yeah, I still know a lot of them. I think for the most part, they're all in the area. If not just like Instagram, like I know what they're up to. Yeah. But,
right on, dude. Yeah. And I see like, so that's during high school. The club setting.
Yeah, during high school.
And did you have any aspirations? I see we already talked about college, but like overall, like the bigger picture, like what is it that you want to be when you're older? Like what do you aspire to be? You know what I'm saying? Because I remember when I was little, bro, I didn't even have an idea of what I wanted to be. Like I wouldn't look past college. I didn't even think about college. When I was little, I was like, I'll probably be like a pro baseball player or something. But there's never really like any realistic like thoughts, you know what I'm saying? Not until you start getting older, it's like, okay, I'll probably go to school, and then okay, now what do I want to study? Right. Like for you, what was it like in high school? Maybe when these start creeping in, like athletic scholarship, and then what?
So I was looking up to Joe a lot, Joe Munoz, and he was doing physical therapy. He wore the number 8 jersey on the field. I got to see him play when he was playing at Chico Rooks. And
what's Chico Rooks? Is that like semi-pro?
That's sort of like what Seoul is here. They used to play against Chico.
Gotcha.
So you know how old Chico is.
Yeah.
When it comes to Rooks. But yeah, and so I wanted to pursue physical therapy because of like Joe. Joe was kind of like the guy. He'd played pro. I've never met anyone before that who played pro. And so.
And he's still a baller, dude.
Yeah, no.
He's still good.
Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah. He's so good.
Yeah, and so that was my goal, was like go to college. And to be honest, it like changed a lot. But getting out of high school, it was more so like I want to do physical therapy.
And did you ever job shadow anybody for that? Or was it just kind of like an attractive thought to you?
It was an attractive thought. Once I got into like wanting to shadow people and taking more of the proactive steps, I realized how much of that is paperwork and like administrative work.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so I looked today, I was like, I can't see myself doing that.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Damn, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like you're working with people the whole day.
Yeah, because that was kind of like one of the first things I wanted to do too was physical therapy. Because I just always liked playing sports, and I was like, I feel like that would be good. That's something I'd be interested in, but I didn't even know any of that.
Yeah, and so yeah, I mean, you do work with people, right? You work for your hour, but you also have to like log their progression and chart what they're doing, and
That makes sense.
all that takes a lot of time. And I just didn't want to really do that. I need to be more, doing stuff.
Yeah, like active outside. Yeah.
And and honestly, if I would have known like athletic training was even a thing back then, that's probably what I would have gone for. Because that's more hands-on, like you're around athletes.
Wait, like what Nato does?
Yeah.
Exactly. What do you mean? What do you mean by athletic training? Like what exactly?
Like, yeah, kind of like what Nato does, just being around athletes, taping ankles, recovery, fitness.
Yeah.
Just keeping track of all that and just having the know-how of like how to properly make an athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. I never thought about that. I feel like that's the perfect avenue for like athletes to kind of go into. Like that's why a lot of them, at least when I was like in San Bern, a lot of them would be like kines. Yeah. A lot of kinesiology. Yeah. And I feel like that's like the most attractive thing for an athlete. It's like, well, I like sports. You know what I'm saying? Like I like being around athletes. I like essentially like I'm passionate about it, So I feel like that's a very, I wouldn't say easy, but that's like a good, I see like route for people to take if they don't really know what they want to do and they're like interested in sports, like sports medicine, kinesiology. So I think that's good. And then, okay, so going up in high school, like you're finishing up high school. What are your thoughts for schools? Like what schools are you looking at? Were you eligible to go to state schools, UCs?
In retrospect, I was not eligible for anything, bro. No, my grades were crappy. They were not good. But out of high school, I was getting a couple looks from a couple schools within the area.
Who are you gonna look at?
UC Davis was one of them. My junior year going into senior year. St. John's out of Philadelphia.
Okay,
it was a D1 on the East Coast. St. Mary's a little early on. Probably like my sophomore year, but it really didn't get into any communication. I just knew they were looking at me from a coach that had told me.
So with the whole like UC Davis and stuff, like how do you find that out?
Yeah,
like, how did that go?
Coaches kind of talk when you're playing club, and so I think his name was Phil, who's now an athletic director at Dominican. He was my coach here at Santa Rosa.
Okay,
and he told me, he's like, UC Davis is interested in you. And not only that, but I don't know if you know Dave Schaefer, who was also like a director at Santa Rosa United.
I know his brother Don. I know Don. And Dave coached at Davis, right?
Yeah. And so that's his brother.
Yeah.
And so he'd always tell me like, hey, you going to Davis? And so I kind of caught on.
Yeah.
And then it was when Phil, my coach, told me like, Davis is interested in you. And so he'd be at a traveling game that we had at Sacramento. And he was there looking at me. And then another tournament, he asked another coach that I had later on that year, who's number 6? Who's your number 6? I'm interested. And basically gave him my information.
Damn. So you always played the 6 growing up?
The 6, midfield, sometimes center back. Yeah.
Bro, I only can imagine what it feels like as like a high schooler. Like Davis is looking at you like a D1 school. Like, dude, that would give me so much confidence. Happy. I'm like, hell yeah, bro, I'm the man.
Yeah, and it's so weird, bro, because you'll play against players that are pretty good, and they're off to like Stanford or Wake Forest or like your top drawers schools, and you're like, I could have easily competed with that guy.
Yeah,
I was competing with that guy.
Yeah.
And you're toe to toe with them.
Yeah.
But just the grades, man. For me, it was just the grades.
Dude, yeah, that's a big thing. Like if you can't even get into school, they're not gonna talk to you, But that's a very good point. Like how you're saying, like you see yourself against the competition, and you're like, dude, I'm just as good, if not better than that guy, Yeah. So essentially, like it kind of goes to show how much competition there is just to get into those schools.
Exactly.
And that's something like that we talked about before, like. When I was in Darren's office in San Bern, like I would be sitting there on the couch, like having a conversation. This fool would be going through his email list, like 150 to 200 emails a day, bro. I'm like, what is going to separate you from these other kids? Yeah. I'm like, how did I look out? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Luckily for me, like my coach knew Darren. So like I kind of got my foot in the door that way.
Shane,
yeah. Okay. Shane helped me because Darren used to coach in the same conference. He coached College of Marin.
Yeah.
So he was coaching there. And when he was coaching there, like Marin was winning leagues and stuff. Like they were winning the conference, like almost, I don't know, but they would win. Like they were super good. Like the year before I got there, they were like a really good team. And Darren was there, and Darren was saying that like he went to one of those like coaching clinics, like one of the camps that they go and help out. And Shane was there, and he's like, me and Shane got along really well. Like I liked the way he coached, like the way he ran the sessions. Like we started picking each other's brain, and we became friends from there. So when I saw your email, like I saw Shane Huff, I opened it up like the film, and we just invited you on a visit. Yeah. Essentially, like you said, like I could compete with that guy. So all you need to do is get your foot in the door. Right. You know what I'm saying? All you need to do is find a tryout, get an official visit, and once you're there, bro, just ball out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like that's really cool. So the Davis, you kind of knew off the bat you didn't have the grades, or how did that go? How did you end up in Rosa? So there was this program over the summer. I think I was from my junior transitioning to my senior year. These coaches from Hull City, England, came to like put on a clinic. Oh, damn. Where at? At the JC. Okay. And I forgot how I even got there. I think it was just my dad who had told me. And I went, and that's when Marty first saw me. And so he kind of put me in the drills and started asking me questions like, what do you have for next year? I was like, I'm just a junior. Like I'm going into my senior year. And I think that's when he just started tracking me for a little bit. And I told him like, I'm probably going to go D1. Like, hell yeah. I'm not interested in Rosa.
I need that kind of confidence.
Yeah, dude. And
what did he say when you told him that?
Nothing. He's like, so like, what do you have planned? Who's looking at you? And I told him, because I want to go to St. Mary's. That was like my school that I wanted to go to.
Why St. Mary's?
I'd gone on a visit. A friend of mine, my dad took him, and so I just tagged along. And I went to go see the school, and I just love the school. Yeah, I love the school.
It's a beautiful school.
Yeah, it's a really nice campus. Yeah,
yeah, and I think they had transitioned to like a D1 not too long ago from the time I went to go visit. And yeah, that was my dream right there. Was that the first time you visited a college campus? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you just fall in love with it. Yeah. Damn. And then you know what happened with St. Mary's? Just things got realistic. Yeah, yeah.
It's expensive.
Yeah, that too.
I think that's the thing, bro. And coaches preach to you like all the time about like, or even teachers, like, dude, once you start picking schools, like you need to be realistic about what schools you can actually get in and what schools you can play at. So that's a lot of the times why some of the JCs have really good players is because they're not eligible to go D1. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's something I see here in Rosa. It's like, do they have ballers? Yeah. Like ballers from the area that played at Atletico, that played at San Jose United, like their friends that come from other areas, but like they have such like a talented pool to select from, and then they go and move on. So once so you're going back to having the conversation with Marty, like how did you recruit you? How did you get there? Like what happened?
So I kind of felt like all eyes were not on me anymore from like Davis, St. Joseph's, like they all knew I didn't have grades. So that kind of just went off the table. Yeah. So I wasn't even sure if I wanted to play anymore after high school.
Really? What kind of sparked that or why?
Yeah. Well, kind of like, you know, how we talked before this, it was like D1 or
bust.
Yeah. Yeah.
D1 or bust. I wonder why that is.
That's like crazy.
Yeah. I think it's just a lack of knowledge, to be honest.
I think so too, dude. I think it is too. Because we were having a conversation with one of our friends earlier. That it's like he was saying, like you grow up watching NCAA Division I football. You grow up watching the D1 basketball. You're not watching the D2, D3 schools. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like once you're there trying to get to that level, you watch it on TV. I would always watch Pac-12 when I was in Mendo. Right. So I'm just like, dude, these schools are hella good. Like that's what I want to get to. And so you just think because you see them on TV, because you hear about them, because they're the ones that go in the MLS draft, like these guys are the good guys. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys are ballers. These guys are coming out of academy teams. So it's just like, that's what I want to get to. If I don't, anything under that is a failure. Right. But in reality, like when I was in San Bern, bro, like we would play against D1 schools and we had like better technical players. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like they were still good, but they like, I remember, I'm going to be honest with you. When we went to go play in UNLV my spring season and they had it like the same thing. Like you're saying, like these kids that are getting recruited to go play at Stanford, they go play at Cal Berkeley. Like you see them, you're like, dude, he's not even that good. Like the whole trip there, we were talking about this kid that was getting looked at by like MLS scouts that he was going to enter the draft in UNLV. We played against him, bro. He's like the 10, and like I forgot that they were even talking about him. Like this guy's not even that good, and this fool's getting looked at like to go pro. Yeah, I was like, well, how? Like, why?
So why do you think that is?
I think connections. Maybe connections. Maybe he played in an academy when he was younger. Maybe he's like a homegrown talent. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he has had really good stats. But you can like tell, bro. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but you can tell when a player is like technically sound and when he's just like I don't know how to explain it, like an American style soccer player, like I see just a brute force.
Yeah.
Like they're still technical, or they're still kind of like, they have a good touch and stuff, but it's more physicality as opposed to just like finesse.
Yeah. They fit the system.
They fit the system. Exactly. And I remember in the second half, bro, they put in a center back. He was like 6'3", and he was so bad. And I'm like, how is this guy playing D1? He's like, he's tall, he's physical, he's fast, he's strong, but it's like, dude, he can't play out of the back.
Yeah.
Like they play the goalie, swing out to him. He can't even find the six.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't play the Hueco. And I'm like, that guy can easily turn on it. Cause at this point I'm on the bench.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like watching his game and I'm just like, dude, like what the heck? Like, and then the coaches were speaking so highly of him. Cause my coach was right there on the sideline talking to their coach, like, oh, this guy's gonna be good. Heck? I'm just like thinking, dude, like maybe he was nervous. Maybe, yeah, I don't know what it was, but I'm just like, dude, how is this guy there?
Is that frustrating for you to sit there and watch somebody like that get praised and you're like, what the heck are you talking about? Like I'm twice the player.
No, not frustrating, but it was confusing. It was definitely confusing. Cause then you start to think like, well, what goes into it? Like, did he know somebody? Like, did the coach him at a club team and kind of like hooked him up to go there, like feed him through the system? You don't know. Maybe he's a walk-on. Maybe they're giving him a shot to try out. Like, you just don't know like what goes into it, but it definitely is confusing. And that's kind of what opened my eyes to like, just because the school's D1 doesn't mean they're better than some D2 programs. You know what I'm saying? And like, yeah, like just to add to your point, like it's very, I'm sure you saw it too when you were at Azusa. Yeah. Like, dude, there's some ballers here.
Yeah.
And there's some ballers that were in our conference and in the CCAA that like, there's this kid that played for Dominguez Hills that like after the first year, like he got recruited by San Diego State. Like, dude, this kid's a baller. We want him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it just depends like what program it is. But you see that, you know what I'm saying? Just because it's D1, it doesn't mean it's as good as D2, you know?
Yeah.
So going back to you, the whole SRG experience, like, how did you even get into the school? Like when did you make that decision?
So I remember I was up in Washington visiting family, and Marty kept calling me, and I just wouldn't pick up his phone calls.
Why was that? Like, why?
I don't know. Just I didn't want, like, I just wanted to enjoy my time up there.
Like, I do that sometimes too. I find myself like someone will call me. I'm like, I just don't want to deal with anything right now. I don't want to deal with anything work related. Like that's why sometimes I don't check my emails for like 2-3 days. I'm like, I should probably check my emails. Like, God. Yeah. But it's like right now, like, no, it's the weekend. I'm going to enjoy myself. Like I'm just going to, I'll deal with it later.
Yeah. So I was just kind of ignoring him. And then it was probably like it was like a week-long trip. And it was probably like the second to last day or the last day, whatever. And I picked up finally. And he's like, hey, Eddie, you want to come out and play this year? And I said, I'm not too sure. And he's like, well, how about you register for like our 2-week class, which is supposedly like the preseason for JC. And I was like, all right, I'll do that. And so I registered. Once I got home, I didn't even train, bro. I just like did a couple sprints on 2 days. And then, because I knew it was going to be a ton of running. And that's what I had heard.
Yeah.
Like from Andy Walker, who played there.
Yeah.
And then people before him, like it's a lot of running. And so I was scared, to be honest, like just of how much running it was. Because I never really was fitness oriented. Like that wasn't my priority. But I went, and then it was more playing, to my surprise, than anything.
Really?
Yeah. It was more playing and some fitness, but playing. And I think just the guys that we had on that team, there was something special about it. And so that's kind of when I said, like I do want to play. And then, aside from that, I had Pepe, who was kind of my best friend growing up. Yeah. He was playing, and just the people I met there, who it was almost instantaneous. Like you knew who was going to make it and who wasn't. And yeah, I just jumped ship and started to play.
What year was that? Your first year at SRJC?
It was 2011.
2011?
Yeah, 11 and 12. Yeah.
And you go there, you start playing with everyone, and you start looking around like, damn, these guys are ballers. Like, is that kind of like when you're just like, dude, I'm down to come play here? Yeah,
and it was more physical than anything. And to be honest, I didn't know if I was going to make it.
Really?
Yeah, I did not know, because you had this other kid who I remember I did not like him at all for some reason. You ever see a guy like you just don't like his face and you want to punch him?
Yeah, he has a punchable face. Yeah. No, exactly what you're talking about.
He turned out to be like one of the chillest homies there.
Really?
Yeah. I just didn't like him because he was competing for my spot. And he we were toe and toe. And
bro, I kind of just want to pick your brain because did you ever, I see like growing up, did you ever feel like you had to kind of do something like to kind of boost your game? Like I remember when I first started playing, I would have to be like overly aggressive, or I try to be this like almost bully on the field. And I don't know why. I think it was just because like I lacked the skill that I had to do that to kind of give myself some confidence. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you ever have to do that?
I don't feel like I did, to be honest. If anything, like, and it's probably just the nature of the game, but you're just like talking smack to other players, you know, trying to get in their head, pulling a t-shirt here and there. But,
like stuff like that, like pulling t-shirts, like when the guy's going in to check in, like you push him from behind, the ref's not looking, you kind of pull his shirt, mess with him, like put your hand on his back, he starts trying to slap you away. Like I would go out of my way to do that, to try to get like a mental edge, but it's not really a part of my game. You get what I'm saying?
I think that's just gamemanship, to be honest. Like everyone's gonna do that, and at the higher level too. Like refs will see, you know, you pulling a shirt and they'll let it go as long as it's not excessive. But just like talking smack. I wasn't like stepping on toes or like you know, putting fingers where you're not supposed to. But definitely like any edge that you can take, like you said, talking smack, like I would do.
You were that player?
Yeah.
And so how did your first year go?
I made the team, thankfully.
Nice.
But
was it tryouts at all, or was it just like?
Technically it's tryouts, but it is a lot of fitness. Even my first year, it was a lot of fitness. And you kind of, the guys who aren't going to make it are just going to leave.
They weigh themselves out.
But I didn't start playing as much as I thought I was going to. And like I said, this guy that I didn't like so much he started over me first couple of games. And then we kind of started sharing that 6 role, you know, playing in the midfield. And I think probably midway into the season, that's kind of when I started that. I was starting and basically playing your 90 minutes. And you were there for 2 years, athletically? 2 years, yeah.
And so like that happened your first year right there. And then did you come back and you start the second year?
No. So I made such a dumb move. I moved up to Washington.
What was behind that? Like why?
A girl.
Yeah. I'll do that to you, man. You make rash decisions.
It's just one of those, like, I was young, dumb, you know, not thinking clearly. But yeah, I moved up there probably half a year, a little bit more, I'd say. And just picking cherries with, like, my family has a cherry orchard up there. And so just do that on the side for money. And kind of just kicking it, to be honest. I played a little bit of indoor out there, which I got injured like my first game.
Really? Yeah. Did you always struggle with injuries?
Now that I look back, kind of. Yeah. It was always ankles, man, for me.
Same.
Dude, me too. Ankles. Me too, bro.
I'd roll ankles every other day. I
remember Shell would say, like, you either have weak knees or weak ankles. And I would always roll my ankles in high school. Bro, like it was, I hate it.
I'll roll my ankles walking on flat, like floor like this right here. Like if I was just walking, sometimes I might roll my ankle. Like that's how weak my shit is. It's so embarrassing.
See, I probably wasn't that bad, but it was, they weren't all like just random ankle rolls. Like they were injuries. Like you just get tackled and land the wrong way.
Especially at the 6, bro. Like you have the ball, like you're more likely to get hurt like that. Because everyone's gunning for you.
And I remember, like I have cleats mark on my shins that, you know, are gonna be there for a while. And so still scars to this day, but I mean, you kind of, it's part of that territory of playing the 6. Like, you know, you're gonna get hit, you're gonna have to hit, you're gonna have to take a yellow card at some point. And so that's kind of the mentality.
Was that how would you explain your style? Like, are you more like the aggressor, or are you kind of like the link that finds the pass, or how do you?
I'd say more of the link.
The link.
Yeah, I like being a thinker, and you know, the ball's coming from this side, the pressure's coming from here. Now where does the ball fit? And so that's kind of your mentality.
Style. That's good, man. Because I remember the first time I ever played with you was like in men's league. And I remember like you got the ball, and it was kind of like one of those situations where you get the ball from the left side and someone's making a run, so you can easily play that ball.
Yeah.
But everyone's anticipating that ball.
Right.
And you got the ball and you like did a Cruyff backwards and it was like so explosive. And I was just thinking, damn, because I was right behind you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was telling Gabe one time, like there's times where you kind of just zone out in a game and you're just thinking like, damn, that guy's good. Yeah. That was a sick ass move. And I remember I had one of those with you because I saw that. I was like, dude, that shit was fucking explosive. Like you faked me out. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, damn, that's raw. And that was like the first time I ever played with you. Yeah. But what was I gonna ask? So that when you moved up to Washington, that was after your first season? Was that after your first year? Like how long did you
after my first season? I was going into spring, so I did all the spring training. And I just left, bro. Like spring, I finished off my semester and I left.
Did you give a warning to the coach or anything like that? Did you let
Dude, I didn't even give a warning to my parents.
You just got up, you just got up and left. Damn.
Yeah. Really? How did they
handle it? I'd probably mentioned it like, yeah, I'm thinking about going up to Washington.
Like,
but like,
yeah, you never told them for sure. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go this weekend.
And it was like, I feel so bad doing that, but I learned a lot, honestly, like from a personal perspective. But yeah, man, I told my parents, like, basically I'm leaving tomorrow to Washington.
And how'd they handle it?
It sucked, man. Seeing your mom cry, like just pissing off your dad.
Yeah.
And it was tough. It was tough.
Dude, that'd be so scary.
Yeah.
Dude, I've thought that too. Like, I don't even know. Like, I would have to be with somebody for a long time to move in with them. Like, that's such a, I don't know. Like, I'm probably just not mentally there yet. But like, just that thought of like moving in with someone like that, that's such a huge commitment. That's ballsy, dude.
It is a huge commitment. But sometimes you don't realize in the moment. You're just like so caught in love. You're so caught in the moment. You're not realizing like the decisions you're making. You're just like, oh, I know, like I want to spend more time with this person, or I want to go with this person. Like, let's see what it is. Like, it's something new, something exciting. Yeah. And you're not really thinking about the consequences that are like, how are my parents going to take that? Like, what's going to happen to my siblings that I'm gone? Like, where am I going to be working? Like, you know what I mean? So it was a huge risk that you did that, but learned a lot from it. So,
and I probably would have done it differently thinking back. I mean, obviously, like you learn from it, right?
For sure.
Yeah, it was just a dumb move. And like, I had little sisters too. And to show them like, that's how I took care of things, just like up and leave. It just,
right, exactly.
You know, it didn't sit well with my parents. And thinking back on it, when I was finally over there, like it just didn't sit well with me either.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it sucked.
So you come back and what happens?
I come back and it's a funny story. I was up there and the first time it snowed probably like 2 feet.
Really? And is that a lot for a California kid that doesn't know anything about snow? Is 2 feet a lot?
It was a lot for me, man. Yeah. I moved out that same day. No, I got my plane ticket that same day. My first snow, I was like, dude, I'm out of here.
Really?
Screw that, yeah.
Holy.
Yeah, and so I had it, I moved, I think it was a little bit before Christmas. And I came back, and I didn't really make contact with anybody from a soccer perspective, like with the coach.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just signed up for a couple summer classes because I knew I might want to play soccer. Still wasn't 100% sure. And I just hit up the coach and he's like, yeah, come meet me in my office.
So you went back the following spring or the fall?
The fall.
Fall? And you came back. How was that? Like, did he have any like ill will towards you? I see, like just kind of like you left us to hang in the second year.
He just wanted an explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I told him the truth. Like I made a dumb decision. Like, but I'm here now. Like I wanna go to college. I wanna, ride this ship and see where it takes me. And he was pretty cool, man. Like he told me ahead of time. He's like, I'm gonna make you captain along with so and so.
Really? Damn.
Yeah.
I think people appreciate that honesty, because I think a lot of people will try to like make up a lie or like say, oh, well, there's this thing happened that was out of my control and this is why I wasn't able to do it.
Yeah.
But when you're just so real and raw with somebody, like, listen, like I just was not one of my best moments. I messed up and it is what it is. I'm here now. Like, this is me. Yeah. I think that people appreciate that honesty.
Yeah. And he's one of those guys. Like I'll appreciate Marty forever, but he's a cool cat, man. He did a lot for me, like the whole recruiting process and just taking me on and expecting me to, act as a leader rather than just have that title.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and I think that's why he did it too, because he saw that I had some type of potential of leadership, and given the mistakes that I did, it kind of put me that pressure of you got to act right to take on that title.
Absolutely. And I feel like that shows that you're kind of just man enough to kind of go back and face your coach like that. Like, all right, I dipped out, but look, hey, I'm back. I'm sorry. Like,
absolutely,
I didn't handle it well.
Yeah.
So going into your second year, you got captainship. How did that second year go?
Yeah. It was interesting because it was very different from my first year.
Uh-huh.
From my first year playing, and looking ahead, like the people we had, I was like, man, we're screwed.
Really?
Yeah. I thought, and we had a bad year the first year.
That was the first year you guys didn't make playoffs?
Yeah.
The first year
we didn't make playoffs. I look back and then compared those players to the players that we got the second year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, we're screwed. This is not going to be a good year.
Yeah.
Damn.
And so I felt it was a shitty feeling because you know, you're that first team that never made playoffs under a certain coach.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're looking at this team and you're like, we're going
to be even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, man, we started playing and it was actually like a pretty decent team.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you guys have a winning season?
We did. We made it to the third round in playoffs.
Oh, damn. Who did you guys play in playoffs?
It was, we lost to West Hills, I think. We might have beat West Hills. I forgot, man, but like all three, the first team was not as good.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was Merritt. Lake Merritt.
Gotty.
I think they're
Merritt. Yeah, they were in our conference.
The yellow team?
Yeah.
Yeah. We played them and we beat them. Pretty smooth sailing for the most part. Second game was a little tougher. And then I think they took the lead. We came back, scored, and moved on to the next round. And the next round, dude, last minute, they score.
Really?
Yeah.
Worse.
How happened?
So I remember this perfectly. We had cleared the ball out. They kind of kicked it back over the sideline to the right sideline.
Uh-huh.
And one of my teammates thought it was going to bounce out, but there was some guy on his back who was able to reach it. Reached it, kept it in play, dribbles down the line, crosses it. Some guy, it ricochets off some guy and comes back basically to the 12, just volleys it into the net, and then game over. Well, not game over, but we still had like a minute to play.
Yeah, but it's the dagger.
Yeah.
And how many rounds are there playoffs? Like that's the third round. Would
So
the next one be?
Yeah, if we would have won that, we would have gone to Final Four. And so basically, you got 3, 4, 5 games to play the championship game. Yeah,
that's insane, bro.
But that was a good season, man. Like I was saying, like I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But our first game was Mount Sac.
They're good.
Yeah, you're playing junior college ball. You know who Mount Sac is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And we were beating them. Very first game, we were beating them. And same thing, bro. We gave a PK, and that's how they tied it up. 1-1.
Damn.
Yeah. And so I think just going into that year, like knowing we had done that and knowing we had a tough schedule and we were competing with our schedule, like that gave us...
It gives you hope.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we can ball out.
Yeah, and it wasn't even hope. It was just like we got this, you know? We're gonna take it. And we had an exchange student who kind of gave us a different perspective, like a European perspective of the game, and a lot of dynamic players who went on to play D1, D2.
Yeah.
And one of the guys is still playing today, pro. So
really,
yeah.
Who's that?
Omar. Junior.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, you played with Omar.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a baller.
Yeah,
he's good. He played really well at Chico.
Strong.
Yeah.
Strong guy.
What was I gonna ask? So that second year, you were playing the sixth the whole time? Or did you compete for center back, or how did that go?
Second year? A little bit of both, but mostly center back.
Mostly center back?
Yeah.
So when you start going into the whole recruiting process, did you start that, or the whole transfer to go play at another school, did you start that immediately after your fall season? Did you email coaches before, like with your schedule?
Not so much in season. Towards the end of the season, a little bit. And we were getting a lot of coaches at our games too, because we had a pretty good season.
Yeah.
We had pretty good players. Excuse me. And so, I was emailing a couple coaches, but none of them really like returning emails. And so it was a little bit depressing, to be honest, because you do want to go on. Like, you kind of feel like you're a part of a big team. You played a big role, and now no one's getting back to you. And so it kind of like, it unmotivates you, you know?
Yeah.
And so season ends, and I'm like, I have 0 offers, nothing. And I'm over here like thinking I'm going to get something, you know, at least.
Yeah.
And so Marty was telling me, you know, contact Cal State, because he knows a coach at Cal State.
Cal State what?
Cal State LA.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I contacted him, and I was kind of playing phone tag with him for a bit. And he wanted me to go out to an official visit. Official visit. And I never went. I never went to like their forgetting the terms now, bro. It's been so long since I've been in that circle. The ID camps.
I was about to try to say like ID camp or what?
Yeah, the ID camps. I never went to any of those. And so I guess Marty got a hold of him, and it's like, hey, and I'm going into like basically my third year at the JC. Of, you know, I wasn't playing. I was just focusing on school, doing my thing. And I started talking with a Cal State LA coach, and he's like, I can probably give you like $5,000 to come down a semester. And I knew that offer was there simply because Marty knew him, and just I didn't want that.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like you want to do it yourself?
I wanted to do it myself. I had that chip on my shoulder.
Dude, they're just giving you money, bro. Would you have preferred like to get no money, like just to see like get a spot on the team and just do it yourself?
I'm throwing 5,000 out there like blindly.
Yeah.
He told me a number that I don't know how it relates to like the, you know, how much you get or how much a semester is worth at Cal State. But yeah, it's just like it wasn't enough. I knew my parents were gonna have to pay a lot of it out of pocket.
Yeah.
And just my whole thing was like, I don't want any handouts. That was my mentality going into it. And I probably should have taken them, like looking back.
Yeah, absolutely, like, man. There's no shame in that.
Yeah. And I even contacted coaches who were interested in me in high school, and like nothing. I was getting no offers.
Damn.
And then you'd get these guys recruiting from like Maine or like Delaware.
Yeah, like these NCAA coaches that just come in and
I was like,
have losing records and try to sell you on this program.
Really?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
all the time.
I know Marty would tell me, he's like, they want California kids.
Yeah.
You know?
Texas, Nevada, and California kids.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I remember we asked it was where Fabian and them went. St. Mary's in Kansas. And remember when the coach came down, like it was like me and another player that I'm not gonna name, but we were basically like asking him like the most questions because it's like this guy's coming here to recruit us, you know, like we want to like pick his brain. So we were like asking him because he's the one that told us like we mainly kind of try to get Nevada, Texas, and California kids. And we asked him why. And he said like a lot of them are like predominantly Hispanic. And he was saying that a lot of the times soccer is a part of the culture. It's in the house. You know what I'm saying? The East Coast kids are very seasonal.
For sure.
They play they'll play soccer in the winter. They'll play basketball. They'll do track. They'll do whatever, you know? But he was saying that in California, like a lot of times, like you find the kids that's all they play. You know what I'm saying? They grow up and they watch it at home. Like their dad played it. And I mean, we live here, you know what I'm saying? Like we see it. So it's like, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But just like, it makes sense, you know? Cause like I've had homies from Texas, they're ballers, you know what I'm saying? Like it makes sense. They cross the border, they're right there. They cross the border, they come to Cali, they're in LA, they go to Central Valley, come up north. But that's what the guy told us. He's like, we try to get a lot of Cali and Nevada and Texas kids because they're ballers. Like they're usually pretty good.
Okay.
And they would come out here, and dude, it's crazy too because those guys, like the coaches you mentioned, like from Maine, Indiana, wherever they're from, a lot of times, bro, just they see you're in like a winning program, they see that you're hella good, and then or like the team's hella good, and like, yeah, dude, come out. Like they don't even see you play.
Really?
They're just like, yeah, like we know you guys can do. And I'm sure with like a coach like Marty, like he kind of like they trust his word.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's how they were with Shane. Like they would just trust Shane's opinion, and then he would send like Fabian and Felipe over there, and they would just ball out. Like, dude, send us more. Like, would you have more players? So a lot of times it's like that he builds this relationship with them already.
That's what it kind of goes back to. It's like the relationships you build and the people you know. Because essentially, if you didn't know Shane or you didn't know whoever, you wouldn't really get that offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Or like you said, like that Marty was talking to him and he reached out, you know? Yeah. So what steps did you take after that? Like you didn't take the offer. So what?
I didn't take it. Like I just I pushed it aside. And then I kind of just, you know, continued to email coaches. And I got a hold of Sean Purcell, who was the assistant coach at Sonoma. And I also got a hold of Dominican, just something more local. You know, that's kind of where my mindset was, something a little bit.
You want to stay close?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at that point. And so I didn't really have much to do. So I was just like looking at all these teams and how they were doing. And I came across Azusa Pacific. And they were doing really well. Like they had I think lost one game, I think. And transitioned from NAIA to D2 and basically won the conference, but couldn't go to playoffs, I think, because there's like a probation period. So I think Fresno Pacific had gone instead. And so I just saw what kind of ID camps they were going to have. And surely enough, one was going to be like in 3 weeks. Yeah. And so I told my dad, and I hadn't touched a soccer ball in like 4 months maybe. And
what time was this? Like around what time of the year?
So that camp was in summer, late summer.
So you finished up your second season. You took a year to do school, and then it's like that you're done with school.
Yeah. Okay. And this is like my mindset is like, okay, I want to be local. Anything that I could get on my own, like I'll probably take. And so I knew if I didn't get anything, like at this point, I'm probably not going to play it. I'm not going to go to school, whatever. And so, yeah, I submitted my fee to Azusa to attend the ID camp, and I got nothing from them, like no response. I thought the ID camp was not going to go through. And the day before, I get the email. I was like, yeah, it's going on. And so me and my dad go and post up in El Monte in a hotel there. And I go the next day. It's like one of those two session ID camps where one in the morning, you take a lunch break, and then one in the afternoon.
Was there like any campus tour, or was it just like soccer specific?
It was just soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just soccer. I saw some of the campus. They did so we had East and West campus, and they showed me West campus. And that's, for my curriculum, my schedule, that's where I was most of the time anyway. But yeah, and so nicest field I ever played on.
It is nice.
Yeah.
It's nice grass.
And so like everything was like, I had new cleats. Field was nice. I was feeling good, like pretty confident in myself.
Yeah.
And
how much time did you get to practice before that? Because you said you hadn't touched the soccer ball
yeah,
for
probably
months.
like 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
3 weeks, 2 weeks. And
to get ready for the camp?
Yeah.
Oh my
Because I was rusty. I was so rusty.
Bro, that's like where all my confidence comes from, bro, is like preparation.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not prepared, I go in just like, dude, okay, I just need to try my best. Like, I don't know, but like if I'm ready to go and I know it, I'm like, dude, I got this.
It's such a difference. You just come in with so much confidence when you're in shape, when you know you've been eating healthy, you've been, putting the time on the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're saying you got 3 weeks, you go to the camp?
Yeah, I had 3 weeks, and I'm, practicing probably 2 times a week, getting some runs in here and there, and doing drills with my dad. And so, yeah, I go down there, show up the first day, and I don't know what to expect, like, to be honest, because there were some high school kids. I was like, I'm gonna have to play against these kids, and not to be cocky or anything, but it's like,
you're like, I got this.
Yeah. And but then again, there was some like other kids who were pretty good. So it was a mixture of things. I didn't know how things were gonna go, but we get playing, and I show well, and I thought I did pretty good, and I was probably one of the more outstanding players at that camp. And I saw all the coaches talking to other like players. Like I'm thinking they're interested in them, but I'm not getting talked to at all. And the camp ends, second session, and I go up to like say thank you to the coaches, shake their hands, and the main coach doesn't talk to me. And I was like, damn. And so,
wait, did you go up to shake his hand?
Yeah.
And he just like shakes your hand and you just leave?
Yeah.
Damn.
And then I go to the assistant coach, shakes my hand, and he didn't say anything. But as I'm about to leave, he's like, hey, make sure Coach Mars has your information. And so that gave me some type of hope, but still, I left that camp. Like,
and what do you do? You go up to him like, hey, here's my contact info, or how do you go about that?
So he just said like, give him your contact information. And so I knew he was interested, but like they didn't talk to me all camp. And so I was kind of like, my hopes were just crushed. Like I felt like they should have talked to me because I felt like I did pretty good.
Yeah.
And
or why would they even say that and then not?
So yeah,
acknowledge you.
It was like a a mental thing. Yeah. Like, you want my contact information? Nobody really talk to me. Like, what's going on? And so I gave him my information, my phone number, name. And then he just asked me, he's like, where are you in the recruiting process? And I was like, I'm probably going to get my AA like this upcoming fall. He's like, okay. And just leave. Like we hit the road, me and my dad. 15 minutes down the road, Coach Kamaras, the guy I gave my information to, calls me.
Damn.
He's like, hey, can you send your resume over? Or my, not resume, where all your grades are.
Transcripts.
Send your transcripts over. We're like, okay, cool. And he's like, yeah, we want to see if we can get you in the season. Season's 2 weeks. And I was like, I knew in the back of my head, like I wasn't going to be able to just because grades. Not grades so much, but I was getting my AA still.
Yeah.
And so that was going to hold me back. But just that feeling of like, okay, we want you.
Yeah.
Like, can you come in 2 weeks?
Jeez.
Yeah. And so, I sent them over and they're like, unfortunately, we can't, bring you on the season. And they had a winning season, bro. Like they had a good season that year. Yeah. And ended up being ranked 14th in the nation.
Yeah, dude, Azusa does pretty well.
Holy crap.
They're really good, dude.
And
it's impressive.
But I was supposed to, and so I was supposed to transfer spring, but my stupid stats class, I just never went. And again,
it's always a stats class.
I hate that class, bro.
Yeah,
I failed that class.
And so spring semester, I'm taking it at Mendo because I'm at this point I'm not doing anything, just focusing on school.
But this whole time you're in contact with the coach, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm in contact with Coach Blum and even some of the players too.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, "You think you could pass it this time?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like it's the only thing I'm going to be doing. I have to.
Yeah, I have to.
And I passed it. Moved down in the summer sometime just to get like some trainings in with the captains and other players. And yeah, that's kind of where it all started.
How you got into Azusa? Yeah. How was that? Like the captain's practice? Because I remember my first captain's practice, bro, and like the transition. And it's kind of weird because not weird, but it's so new. You don't know anyone. Everyone there's good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like everyone's kind of in the same boat. Like it's not really. It's kind of cliquey. Because you know what I'm saying? Like the people that are returning, like they know each other. Like they try their best to include everyone, like in rondos or in passing and stuff like that. But still, like it's almost like an ID camp tryout. Like you show up, you're stretching, you're doing your thing, and it's like, who do I talk to? Who do I go to? You know what I'm saying? Like the only person you might have known or that I knew was only the captain. Yeah. Because he was like just the one that was constantly like kind of talking to me while I was getting there. Yeah. But like, how was that? Like your first captain's practice?
It was cool, man. Like it wasn't cliquey or anything. It was. I mean, everyone was pretty open, like showing the new guys what, like how you do this drill or how you go about things, within that team. And it was cool. Like I get there and we just played, to be honest. We just played, got to know each other. This guy left footed, right footed. If he's running a certain way, do you pass it to your left? Do you pass it to your right? What are his tendencies? Things like that. And so it was a cool experience just getting to know those kind of players. And it was good for me to see like how dedicated and committed some of these guys were. Because I had never been exposed to something like that. I'm over here thinking like all these guys are good. And this guy is showing well in practice, but then comes season and he's not playing. And so I'm like, okay, that's a little weird. So you kind of have to be on top of your game, like know you're sharp, And that's where I got into the mentality of like any opportunity that I need to take to get better, I'm going to have to do that. And so that's going into Azusa. That's kind of where my mind was.
Do you remember like doing anything extra that would kind of try to surpass you from your competition?
Yeah. Any extra trainings on the weekends. If I didn't play like 90 minutes, I'd go do supplemental training with some of the guys on the field on a Saturday. Training room, stretching, like foam rolling, all that little stuff that nobody really puts a lot of emphasis on.
It's important, dude.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
It's important. Did you have any teammates that were like in the same mentality as you? Like, were you able to kind of like find that motivation in other peers as well?
Some of the guys have it, but some of the guys don't. Yeah. And so, I'm not going to tell somebody else to, be committed. You can't
ask them.
Yeah. That's not coachable. Like that. The player has that.
You have to have it. Yeah.
And so, I feel like I always wanted that, but I've never seen it to that extent of what like a good athlete does that. And so once I saw that, like I was bought in. Like I knew I wanted to do that. And so it was such an experience for me of like what the next level looks like. And so it was a good experience for me to see that, and I just jumped in.
That's awesome, dude. That's such like a good feeling. Like I just remember that feeling, and it's so just like that, just addicting. You know what I'm saying? Like you just want more of it, and it's just like so exciting. It's so new. It's so fun, and to kind of like touch on your point of like you can't really coach that. You can see like when you're at that level, like the players that want to like go pro or like kind of aspire to play after, and like how they kind of go about their their diet, like their working out, like how serious they take the weight room, going to run on their own, like you said, extra training sessions. And then you can see the players that are just there for like the scholarship, are there for the lifestyle,
for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And like a lot of the times, like when you do have those players, like that clique of those players, like it can hurt the team. You know what I'm saying? Like whether there's conflict within the team or not, like it shows. You know what I'm saying? Because I do remember like some of the teammates that I've had like show up to practice drunk or hungover. Or they show up to bro. Like, and I'm just like bogged. I'm like, dude, how do you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like the only reason I would think that is because I'm trying so hard. I'm preparing so like ahead of time because I feel like I need to work hard just to kind of get to where they're at. You know what I'm saying? Because everyone's talented there, bro. Everyone's good. And there would be players that would come unfit. I'm like, dude, you guys didn't train over the summer? Like you guys didn't run? It's like, no, like I'm just going to use this preseason to get fit. And they would do it. You know what I'm saying? Like the coach wouldn't even notice. And it's just like so foreign to me because I'm just like, dude, I would never even gamble with that. You know what I'm saying? I would never even try to do that. But that was definitely, I don't know if that was a thing in Azusa. Like you could tell the difference between the players that were there to like go pro and the ones that were just there for the lifestyle. Yeah,
for sure. No, you could. And I think it showed, but the longevity of players also, like you could tell kind of who took care of things earlier in season.
So how did that first year go for you at Azusa?
We were okay. Like we weren't good or anything. We were good. We just weren't a great team. We weren't the 14th ranked in the nation kind of team. And granted, like two of the key players left the team. One went to San Diego State. The other went to Point Loma. So I don't know. There were some issues there within the team. But I mean, they were good players, man. We didn't come. We could have beat a lot of teams that we just didn't. And I mean, from a competitive standpoint, we were competitive. We just didn't put games together.
And you're playing center back there?
So I was playing the 6 for the most part. My first year.
Your first year.
Yeah.
Because I remember like we talked about this off camera, but I remember like when I first heard of you or knew anything of you, like I would hear your name. You know what I'm saying? Like I would hear like your cousins talk about you or like Fabian talk about you or people just talk about, oh, Eddie's good. Eddie was a baller. He was this and that. But you don't really know until you see it. You know what I'm saying? And I remember one time when I was playing at Mendo, like Fabian, after one of our games, Fabian's like, oh, Eddie was asking about you. Like, who's Eddie? And he told me, he's like, oh, he's playing at Azusa. I had to like look it up. I was like, what's Azusa? I looked up your profile and everything. And I was like, what'd he say? Like, I was just, you know what I'm saying? I was just like fishing for compliments. I was like, what'd he say? Like, did he say anything about me? He's like, dude, yeah. He's just like asking, he's like, who's that kid? Who's that center back? And I was like, damn, like that's sick, bro. Like I felt hella good, bro. Because like you're at that level, you know what I'm saying? Like you have an eye for that. We play the same position. And then I remember a few weeks later, like you were playing, or it might have been months later. I don't know if it was your season. I don't know if it was within season or if it was your spring season, but you guys came up to play Dominican.
It
was during season, huh? And then it was probably a few weeks after that. And I remember I got invited to go at Fabian. It was like, you want to go watch Eddie? Like he's going to come up. Like we're all of our friends and family going to go watch him. And we did, bro. And you guys were playing hella good. I just remember being on the sideline thinking, dude, this is so fast paced. Like the speed of play at this level is insane. Because like what I'm used to is nothing like this. You know what I'm saying? And I just remember like watching you play, dude. I think you guys might have beat them.
If I remember correctly.
I think you guys beat them. Yeah. But I just remember that was like my first, I want to say like real exposure to like Division II soccer. Because that was like the first time I've ever seen it live. And I was just like, damn, dude, I want this. Like I want to do that. And I just thought it was so cool that like your friends and family were able to go watch you play. You know what I'm saying? That's something I've always wanted for myself as well. But that was like my first thought. So like your second year, you said you're playing center back. How did that go?
I didn't like center back, but I understood that it was probably my best option. But what I was better at for that team.
Dude, I remember you guys had this sick ass 6. I don't remember his name. He was this Hispanic kid with shaved head.
Shaved head.
Bro, he was so good. He had like a buzz cut. I think he might have been number 21. Dude, he stood out. Like he was good.
Damn, I'll have to look at the
Dude,
roster.
look it up, bro. Okay. I just remember now. I wasn't even going to talk about this, but I just remember this kid was a baller.
Short kid, big kid.
I want to say he's average height, a little tall, probably 5'9", 5'10".
Damn.
And he looked older. I think he was older. He wasn't like a young kid.
Okay.
He looked like an upperclassman or like a transfer student, but he was like older, shaved head, and he was good, bro.
Damn, who was
like
this?
Untouchable the whole game. He was playing the 6, and didn't lose the ball one time, and that's why we started looking like, dude, that guy's good. And then
shaved head, huh?
Yeah.
What the hell? I should be remembering this, man. This was at Dominican.
Yeah, this is when you guys played Dominican.
I can't remember. I have to look back. Or you have to show me.
Yeah, do it. Anyways, so the second year you said it didn't go well, or what?
Second year was, so we go into season. It went a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I was there mostly like for a transition period.
Mm-hmm.
Or you know, it was like a transition period from you saw success one season, and then you go into these 2 seasons where, and we had a lot of JC recruits. So I think that kind of messed with the team dynamic a little bit. And so, you know, those second year didn't go too well. A little bit better than the first year, for sure. But it just, it didn't go as planned. I think it was more of like, we have a chance of making playoffs this year. And so I think that made it a little bit better. Players were maybe a little bit better also. But yeah, it's just both years weren't great. They weren't something that we.
You guys didn't end up making playoffs?
No.
Did you guys compete at all? Like, I see, like, was it close for the conference?
Up until like the last 2 weeks, I say.
Yeah. Who were like the powerhouses at your time?
I think so. That year, I think Sonoma was up there. Dominguez Hills, Simon Fraser.
But weren't you in the Pac West?
Oh, you mean within our conference? Yeah, definitely yes. Us,
Pac West.
Azusa, Fresno.
What wasn't Cal Baptist good? Were they
Cal
good?
Baptist was good, dude.
Yeah.
They had a solid team. We beat them, but that was a good game. That's probably one of my favorite games at Azusa. Playing there, and I played the 6th that game. I remember, and super hot. This is in Riverside, I think. And
a really nice campus.
Yeah,
really nice facilities, bro.
And I started cramping up.
Yeah,
I hate when I cramping up.
Where do you cramp up at?
Calves.
In your calves?
Always.
Do you eat calves too?
Yeah.
Dude, I've never gone to cramp my calves. Mine's always my hammies.
Yeah.
My hammies, I never got cramps in my calves, but like all my friends get them in the calves. It's weird.
Calves are terrible.
And so, Cal Baptist was good, man. There was a lot of talk because they were going D1.
Yeah.
The next year.
They just.
And so, you know, when you hear things like that or like about certain players, like you said, you kind of have a target now of like take down that team.
Yeah.
Or make this guy look silly.
Yeah.
Lock him down, whatever. And we did that, dude. We executed, but again, we could go up and play against high level teams and beat them, but then we play against a not so great team, like not high caliber, and
play average. Like you played down to their level. Yeah, it's always the toughest thing. It's like a bit of complacency.
Yeah,
send the players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like if not everyone does their job, or some people slack off, like it shows. So during this time at Azusa, like what was your were your grades good? Were you a good student? Did you seek help? Like what did you do?
Yeah, so mandatory, my grades weren't always good, but I was a better student at that point because I knew you had to stay eligible.
Yeah.
And obviously the end goal to get a degree is there, like within reach, and you see that.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I'm at a school where a lot of the students that are going there are to get educated and to receive an education. And so you see that and you kind of fall into that mindset of like, okay, there's no messing around, you know? So my grades weren't great. I had like a 3 point something, but I was going to like study hall.
Mandatory study hall.
Study hall 2-3 times a week for an hour. There are certain requirements as a student athlete. If you fall under a certain GPA, that you have to be there for certain hours. Yeah, and so even when we travel, you know, you have to do certain study hours. Coaches are supervising, make sure you're doing your stuff. Most of the time, you're not.
Yeah,
but
were you at least enjoying your classes now?
Yeah. I think going to Azusa and seeing what a private school looks like, I think teachers just took care of things differently. And they really emphasized on, okay, how is this kid gonna succeed? You know, so it wasn't like high school where everything's just a cookie cutter and, you know, they're checking off boxes.
Right.
At Azusa, it was, you have to meet certain requirements, but the teachers really emphasized on your success. And, you know, if you need help here, here's this resource.
You would go up to them or they would go up to you for like?
Both. So I do office hours. I go up to the teachers. You know, I failed a class there, but I just had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
And that was my fault, honestly.
Absolutely.
I was just so new to like, it was a Bible class and I was just so new to that whole world. And so part of it was just being, you know, not well-versed in all of that.
Was it a Christian school? It's Christian school?
Yeah, Christian.
So overall, would you say you enjoyed your experience there?
I enjoyed it, yeah. It was a little weird at first, to be honest. Because everyone was so like wanting to know you. And
from the team or from
everyone,
peers?
Everyone.
Really?
Team, students, teachers. And that kind of gave me this little trip of like, okay, what's wrong with you? You're a little too happy.
Do you think it was fake? Kind of like almost like...
it felt fake. It felt fake.
What?
And for some people, like it was fake. You know, you could tell it was just like, because you're in this atmosphere, you don't want to, you know, seem like a bad guy. So you're going to try and get to know people. But for the majority of people that I met at APU, it was pretty genuine. Like these guys want to get to know you and have a long-term friendship, things like that.
That's awesome. And when you were there, like when you're like finishing up school, you didn't have any, like you didn't want to stay there after, or like once you're transitioning like out, finishing up school, like what plans did you have for after?
Well, with me, bro, it was a little tough because so that summer, right, when I was coming to train and get ready for season, I felt like I left home not on great terms with my dad. And so it was a little bit tougher to leave. And I knew something was wrong at home. And so I didn't even finish off the semester. I just came back.
After season?
Yeah. I just came back. And I was in this weird like mental funk of, you know, I don't want to do school. I don't want to play soccer anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. And so I just started working at Safeway, which is not bad, you know, but you kind of have this like whole plan of after college, you're going to get this job. Yeah. And then I felt like a loser. I dropped out and started working. And so that was kind of my mindset. But I started getting into like a lot of self-help, like reading and podcasts and all that. And it all kind of helped me get back into the mindset of like, I have to do something for myself. And so I went back to Azusa and did a semester there. Did well at that, but then came back and for financial reasons on my family side, started working again and just decided I'm going to finish off online. Like that's probably the best move for me. Yeah.
Did you have a lot left after you left that last year?
No, it's probably like a year.
Okay.
A year, but the way they did it online, it was at a faster pace.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had about a year. If I would have stayed at Azusa, I probably would have had like a year and a half. And I was able to finish within a year.
Nice.
Yeah.
How was it doing it online? Was it a lot harder or easier than you expected?
So it was harder because I had taken online classes at Azusa before and I failed them.
Yeah. Online's really different.
Yeah. And so when I told my coaches, like, I'm going to go back, because I'd go into like coach's office just to talk, you know? And I told them like, I'm just going to go back and do it online. And then my coach is like, didn't you fail your online classes?
I was like, that's a good idea.
Like, I don't know. That's the best idea. Yeah. What do you think it was like when you do drop out and like you don't finish out the semester? Like, what is it like? What?
For me, just mentally, I was all over the place. I was scared of so many things. Of, you know, after soccer, like what's left? Yes. I identified myself as a soccer player.
Yes.
And so now you take soccer away from you.
Yeah, bro.
What do I have? Now who are you? You know?
Dude, absolutely. I feel like that's something a lot of student athletes go through. Maybe it's not just student athletes. Maybe it's a lot of other college people as well. Like they finish up school and it's like, now what? You go through that, like you kind of have like a little mini crisis. Yeah. And it's like you said, I've identified myself as a student athlete for so long, and now that it's over, what do I have to offer? And it's something we've spoken about. It's like I've put in all my time, all my effort into the game. Yeah. When I could have been putting it out or like elsewhere, like in internships or working at getting experience, learning about my major more, you know what I'm saying? Doing more research, job shadowing people, like, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Picking people's brain about that subject matter, you know? So I definitely understand when you say that, because that happened to me when I came back from San Bern, bro. Like that, I crashed and I crashed hard. I was fortunate enough to just be with my parents there. Like that's your safe space. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're very supportive of it. But they, at the same time, it's like, they don't understand. Like my parents didn't understand what I was going through. Yeah. I didn't even understand what I was going through. I didn't really have anyone to turn to. So it's like you're in this you're in this dark place and you don't know who to turn to. You don't know what questions to ask. You know what I'm saying? You don't know where to get the answers. And it's just like, I don't even know how I dealt with it. You know what I'm saying? I think I just worked.
Yeah.
I was just working like all day, just trying to like deal with it. But I 100% understand what you went through. Like it's a shitty feeling.
Yeah. It sucks, man. And we just do it at a collegiate level, you know?
Yeah.
Imagine you do it I was able to understand like all these Olympic athletes who have some type of problem later on.
Yeah.
It's not an easy transition just being an athlete and then going into the workforce, you know? So it was tough, man. And I think it is very tough for a lot of student athletes because like you said, they don't have that job experience that they could later apply down the line.
Yeah.
Unless you're like super committed and find that time during the summers or whatever. But
if you were to go back, like, would you change anything?
No.
Like No?
No. The reason why is because I left and I was able to like get into the workforce, you know, start working while still working to get my education done. And so I think that served me in the long run. It did good for me. Had I not done that, I think I probably would have been square one for a long time.
I feel that.
Yeah.
So now finishing up school, like you're finishing up your major. What aspirations do you have going forward? Or what do you want to do with your major? Do you want to do anything with it?
Dude, I was lost for a minute. Yeah. The reason I chose the degree I got, it was just the easiest thing to get out of the way.
Yeah.
I knew it was already so close. And like, I went into Azusa as a kines major because I still wanted to do something with like the athletic training or physical therapy.
Sure.
But I wasn't sure what way I wanted to go. In that transition of going online, I just chose whatever was easiest. And so it was organizational leadership. And I dabbled with a couple different ideas that I had of like creating mentorship programs or having some type of leadership role in a company. And I just knew that you needed the experience to get those kinds of positions. And so, I mean, I just started working odd jobs, worked with my dad at a winery, worked at a Safeway, I remember I tried working for UPS, but they never really like got back to me. I got hired on and everything. But at that point, it was just like, you know, get as much money as you can.
Yeah.
Because you're just trying to survive, build up your chips, you know, save up and get a place and just start living life. At least that's how I knew it. But then I started just to, like, I wanted more for myself. I wanted to take on like a leadership role for sure at a company and have some type of say. And I found this job in Sebastopol where the boss, his cousin had went to Azusa. And the interview went well. And it was at this guy's house, which is a little weird for me. But he had a legit office. Like, he built in an office. I think he was like a contractor back in his day. And now he was doing this super niche industry type of thing. Tile 24, it ties into construction. Basically, with like lighting fixtures and where your windows are placed. And so I took more of an administrative role, but I was able to dabble into like a couple little different things within the construction industry. And so I started getting the experience of, you know, emailing different people, being able to talk to decision makers, people who, you know, are giving permits and licenses. And that really introduced me into like how the real world is. And I look back at my education, I was like, this is not helping me.
Yeah.
You know, and so.
What do you mean by that, like the real world? Whoa.
So I think you guys touched up on it on a podcast that you guys did. And it's like, you do all this essay writing, right?
Yeah.
For like business classes or marketing or like, I think it was a business plan that you guys were touching on. And writing up a business plan. And you do all of this work, all of these words, you know, 10 pages, whatever. And business, when you're like talking, communicating, it's not like that.
Yeah. It's so different.
You have to go you have to be direct and like talk with people, get the message across.
Absolutely. Because like they're not, chances are they're not going to be reading 5 pages of emails. Or
no one's reading 1 page,
in,
let alone,
that first paragraph has to be sweet, get their attention, and so they can continue to read.
Yeah. And so that was kind of my introduction of the real world, like how it actually is, how you have to communicate, even on the phone. Like we think about it, and like our communication on the phone is one thing, but when you're in a business or there's something that other business or a client depends on your business for, you have to approach that a certain way. And college was not teaching me that. And so that's why I'm saying I wouldn't take anything back, because in that time I was still working with my degree, and I was able to learn on the job, like how you have to communicate, the business etiquette that you have to have. I got starting off in that job.
The business etiquette.
Yeah.
Damn, I like that.
Good.
Are you still doing that now? Or is that was just
that's just how I got into like kind of the world that I operate in right now.
So what are you doing now?
Right now I'm doing recruiting it's for an agency. They're stationed out of Ohio, but they have different offices throughout the nation. And so my title's a project coordinator, but I do recruiting for, if somebody needs a painter, I get them a painter. Somebody needs 5 carpenters with X level experience, I get them 5 carpenters, or try to at least. And so, and it's like the same communication, but 5 times more intense.
Yeah.
Because some people want these guys like in 2 days.
Yeah.
And to find those people in 2 days, like they're not just sitting around.
Yeah.
They're trying to stay busy.
How do you find?
Yeah. How do you do that?
Do you do it on LinkedIn? Do you use apps, or how do you do it?
Yeah, they give us ad allotments like through the company that we can post on Indeed, and a lot of it's just searching, like even Facebook. Sometimes I'll just post on Facebook. If I know a job's out in like Yuba City, for example, I'll post in Yuba City within that radius. Like
that's smart.
50, 100 miles. Yeah. And so it's tools like that, right, that you don't really think about until you're in that trade. And you're like, how do you work smarter rather than just killing yourself and posting in Santa Rosa or Ukiah? Like the job's up in Yuba City.
Yeah.
It makes more sense for somebody in Yuba City to take that job.
Absolutely.
That's so smart.
And so
I'm sure like after working something like that, you do kind of come to a realization of how important social media is. Like how important of a tool it is and how many people you can reach through it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, because just think back in the day, like if you were doing this job 30 years ago, bro, you'd be doing it over the phone, calling people door to door, you know what I'm saying? Like in newspapers. But now like you can, like you said, like you can post from Yuba City and you're not in Yuba City, you know?
Yeah.
That's such an interesting career, because my brother-in-law had the same job. It's like a headhunter, no? Like yeah. So do you enjoy that? Like, do you enjoy what you do?
Man.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. It's not what I want to do for the rest of my life, but it's, like I said, it's teaching me a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like how to communicate with other offices, with general managers, contractors, with people looking for jobs. Like I have to go through an interview. Like I was so scared my first time.
Yeah. How do you prepare for that? What do you, or how'd you even get the job? How'd you find this job?
Yeah.
So I lost I after that first job I talked to you about, taking more of the administrative role, I got another job out in Petaluma as an estimator for like an interior finishing company. And basically what they do is like they take out all these cabinets, take them into the shop, spray them, paint them, finish them, put them back. And I did the estimating. So if it's 5 feet, $120 worth is 1 foot, we'll cover your paint. And so I did the estimating just off of plans and blueprints, things like that.
Gotcha.
And it was supposed to be long term, but they fired me. They let me go a week before Thanksgiving. And
did they tell you why?
No, dude. It was a Sunday. So it was a Sunday, and I got a call from the owner. And super cool guy. Like I think he's dope to this day.
Yeah.
He fired me.
God, that's such a weird like relationship. Yeah. Have you been fired?
No, well, from the movie theater that one time, but that's because I was like, I'm just not showing up. Like, if you don't show up, we're gonna fire you. It's like, okay, well, I'm not showing up.
I guess I was let go. I wasn't like, okay, you gotta get out of here.
Gotcha.
I was like, technically, I took it as being fired. But yeah, he just called me one Sunday. I don't know why he said this, but he's like, yeah, we're all at the beach.
Okay.
We're all at the beach.
Do you want me to come over?
He's like, do a picture.
He's like, we're hanging out without you.
Just thought you should know.
He's like, yeah, we're all at the beach, and we started talking, and I think I feel bad about saying this, but once you hear that, I know I knew what's coming. And he's like, I'm gonna have to let you go, man. I feel really sorry about this, and I was bummed out, man. I was bummed out because I liked that job.
Damn.
It was a cool job.
What do you say?
Did you just like, oh, okay, I understand, or was it like, why?
Yeah, why? What happened? Why are you at the beach without me?
He's like, it's not you, it's me.
So I was so in shock, dude. Like when that hit me, I remember I was we were at this like piercing shop or over by, not piercing shop, tattoo shop.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got the call, I was just bummed out. I got super bummed out, and I didn't ask why. I didn't ask like, okay, like what I do, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I just texted him. I was like, hey, I understand like this was a business decision. If there's any feedback that you can give me, just let me know. Like I really like some feedback.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I meant that genuinely. Like I do want feedback.
Yeah.
You know, not why you fired me, but if there's something that I could fix.
Yeah,
let me know.
Sure. Did he get back to you?
No.
Damn.
No.
The cold shoulder.
Yeah. And so I got fired from that job. Just started applying to different jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I got an interview with the company I'm at now.
Mm-hmm.
And the interview just went super well. Like it was a conversation. It didn't feel like an interview. Like I was asking him questions. He was asking me questions. We had a couple things in common of like, he lived up in Washington, same city that I went to live.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice coincidence.
Yeah. And so we just kicked it off really well. And he told me about the position, like what I'd be doing. And it was the exact position I was kind of looking for, like taking a leadership position, you know, leading conference meetings, talking with candidates for jobs. And there's just this like whole team environment dynamic that I wanted to take on. And this aspect of a job that's really important that I want to be responsible for. And that was the job.
Damn.
And so it went well. And he's like, all right, I'm going to do a couple more interviews and I'll probably let you know within a week. And like 2 days after he called me, he's like, you want to hop on? I was like, let's do it.
Nice.
And so, yeah.
How long you been doing that for?
Yeah.
Since January.
Since January?
Yeah.
Dude,
so
that's awesome,
8
dude.
months now.
And you work out of an office? Do you work from home, or how does that work?
I work out of an office, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, during the whole COVID, I was working from home.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, working out of an office.
Nice.
Dude, that's sick. So transitioning to something that we wanted to ask you about is reRacked.
Yeah.
Is what you do now.
Yeah.
Well, want to explain to people what reRacked is?
So, yeah, it's just a hobby I picked up. It was like a project I wanted to do.
Okay.
You know, I remember my dad asked me once, like, if there's anything in the world that you could do, despite money, like put all that aside, what is it that you'd want to do? And I've always said it's something in fashion. And so this was kind of my little project I wanted to take on to see what I could do and learn about the process, like mistakes that I'd made, which I knew I was going to make, and just, you know, on the business side, like I didn't even know how to make a proper transaction. If you're going to pay me, is it PayPal? Is it Apple Cash or whatever?
Yeah.
And I do those things, but you kind of have to, you know, think on the back end. Like if this was at a bigger scale, how would you do that? If you had inventory of, you know, 15 SKUs, different pieces, how would you put that out there for the world to see? How are you going to sell that? And so that's when I like set up a PayPal account. I'm working on like a Shopify site right now also. And as of right now, I'm just selling like through Instagram, on Grail, person to person. And that takes a little bit of like fees, like partner fees, which kind of sucks. But for the same reason, I'm trying to transition to that Shopify. Basically what it is, it's upcycled clothing. And so, you know, I thrift out a flannel from a Goodwill or something, wash it, get a band tee from Target, cut out the, you know, the emblem, the decal, stitch it on the back, and it's an upcycled piece. And so I put it up on Grailed or Depop, you know, and sell that. And so that's kind of the emphasis on it. Also vintage t-shirts. So like band tees, NASCAR tees, just anything like early 2000s even, but 90s, 80s.
And you're just kind of like shopping these websites or thrift stores, something that catches your eye, or is it just kind of like anything within that?
I've been doing it, whatever catches my eye. Yeah, I know some people like more like the Marvel comics, superhero type of stuff. But I don't want to just do it just to sell a t-shirt, you know? It's something that I like, and hopefully somebody else too likes it.
Do you like getting like you said, a flannel and then customizing yourself? Do you like doing that more just like you find a NASCAR tee and then you just resell it? Like you're not putting any changes to it.
I like doing it my own, like
adding the customize.
Yeah. I think that's really fun for me because you can just be creative with it.
Yeah,
you know, if somebody likes it, like knowing that you sold something for $50 that you made for 17.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. Like
I didn't know
someone's wearing your piece.
I didn't know you did that. I didn't know you like added your own flavor on it. I thought you just resold.
Well, yeah, I do resell also. So if I find a cool shirt on eBay, like I'll buy it, resell it for a profit. But again, it's just like things that I like the bands, Doors, Motorhead, things like that.
Yeah.
Music that I listen to, and if I just put them up, and if somebody buys them, somebody buys them.
Yeah.
Do you find it's easy to sell stuff online, or like is there a huge market for it?
There is, and that's probably my biggest problem right now. It's like I'm trying to see how to get into those markets, and I have with some of the stuff.
Yeah.
It's just with other certain pieces that it's a little bit more difficult, and I'm not sure if it's lack of not able to attract that market, or I'm just not in the right space pushing that product. And that's the other thing too, like product is not the easiest thing to sell.
Right.
Like 80% of our economy is like service based, so product is just one more thing that's a little bit more difficult.
And have you ever thought about like designing your own clothes?
I have, but it'd probably be a bit bigger scale when I have more time.
Yeah.
Like my job just takes a lot of time away from me. And when I took on, more of the administrative stuff for reRacked, it was like wake up at 6, go to sleep at 11. And mind you, I was from Ukiah driving to Santa Rosa. So that's 2 more hours that you kind of have to put into that schedule. So you're sleeping 5 hours.
Yeah.
It's taking up a lot of your time.
Yeah.
That's good that you have like a project, something that it's kind of like what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like something that you're passionate about, you know what I'm saying? It makes it that much easier, like it doesn't seem like you're working. It's just a project. That's a good word for it. You know what I'm saying? Like something that you want to put time into that you enjoy,
For sure.
How long have you been doing it for?
Since February.
Since February?
Yeah. The idea came to me in like, honestly, I've always thought about reselling. I just didn't know how to go about it. And January, that's kind of when I took the jump. And I started pushing it more once the shelter in place started.
Yeah.
Because you're obviously at home. You have a little bit more time.
Yeah.
You're not always working. You should be, but you're not.
Yeah.
And I just started pushing it, putting it up on social media. I created the Instagram page.
Nice.
Put it up on Grailed. And I felt like just once stimulus checks hit, everyone started buying. And that's kind of when it kind of took off.
It took off?
Yeah.
That's awesome, dope. Dude. I liked it from the beginning. I didn't even know it was your thing, and then like I started seeing people like it and follow it and post about it.
You showed me the Instagram page one time, and I was like, "Dude, that's a sick ass shirt."
It's a cool idea. You know what I'm saying? Like because I especially now, like I've been like I was telling Gabe, like I've been kind of getting into like the older bands. Like I've been listening to a lot of the Smiths, Pink Floyd, the Eagles. So I was like gonna contact you, like, are there any of those shirts coming through? Like I'm down to get them because I look on Amazon and it's like these 100% cotton t-shirts that are like, you know what I'm saying? They just print the thing on, but they're not vintage. They're not.
That's the thing, vintage. Yeah.
They're not. They don't have that look.
Yeah.
So like if I'm telling you now, like if it ever comes through, like you see the Eagles or
for sure
the Smiths, something like that, like dude, let me know. I'm down.
Yeah.
Like we're down to support. Honestly, like every time you post, we'll blast it. We'll put you on. Like it's such a cool idea. It's such a cool concept.
Yeah.
That we're down to support it, dude.
Absolutely.
Like that's so sick.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
reRacked. Anybody watching this or listening to this? reRacked on Instagram. Are you on Facebook?
No.
Not on Facebook.
No,
okay.
We have the name, just not. We haven't posted anything.
Gotcha.
So Instagram people,
bro. That's another thing too. Like we kind of touched on it a little bit. Like how social media is so important nowadays. Just think of the next clientele that you can get on Facebook if you were to get on there and be consistent with your posting.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that we're learning the way we try to reach more people with this. You know what I'm saying? Like we rely heavy on
social media.
Yeah. Or just like word of mouth or people telling each other, like kind of spreading the word. You know what I'm saying? Because with each guest that we have on and they share it, like we get 4 more followers that we didn't know, 5 more followers. Yeah. And then they tell their friends and they tell their friends. So it's like, it's so important. But if we were just so limited to just Instagram, that's a whole nother world in Facebook that we're not, you know what I'm saying? True. Like my mom's family's on there, my dad's family, they don't even know what we're doing and they're still supportive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like friends from college that I don't have on Instagram. People, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Twitter.
But we were just talking to Matt today, and he was telling us that he doesn't have a Snapchat. I'm not saying Snapchat's the best way to promote your stuff, but like, there's some people who just have Snapchat. There's some people who don't have Snapchat. They just don't use that. And if you just do it through every outlet, you're gonna hit one more person using Facebook or using Instagram or Snapchat, whatever, any other social media. Yeah. So it's just worth just doing it, you know?
Yeah. And especially now you can just link all your accounts together.
Yeah.
One post on Instagram and it goes to all of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And all you need is just homies to retweet your shit, to share your stuff. Like,
for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like that helps a lot when you do have friends that support you, you know?
Yeah. And then you start understanding too, like how people think. We operate in a lot of bubbles, if you think about it. Right. So this podcast thing that you guys are doing, it's a whole bubble in itself. Like, I started listening to podcasts 2 years ago. And the fact that you guys have this podcast, now it's like, okay, I can see how it's gravitating more people, gravitating certain type of person.
For sure.
And then like this platform that you also want to give people of, you know, this growing up a certain way. How'd you go about things? There's a whole bubble of people, especially from a small city like we're from, that really don't know how to do that. There's a whole other bubble of people who, like you said, can manage those Instagram or your social media profiles. And you start attracting that kind of bubble, you know? And like your soccer buddies too. That's a whole different bubble.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the bubble I know best.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, that bubble. And for me to go into reRacked and you guys to go into this podcast space, it's just other bubbles that we kind of get to.
We're just connecting.
Yeah. It's definitely a challenge. Like when you do that, it's like, dude, how can I reach more people? How can I get them to maybe in your case buy and then continue to buy? You know what I'm saying? Like, do I mess with the prices? Do I promote it a certain way? Do I start messing with my editing? Should I post more content? You know what I'm saying? Like maybe plan out weekly schedules. You know what I'm saying? But it definitely is a challenge. Like that's kind of what we're learning on the fly. Yeah. Like we've said it before, like this is our first time we're doing this and we kind of feel like we're in a dark room, kind of just stumbling around looking for the light. You know what I'm saying? Like looking for a direction to go in. But I mean, dude, that concept is just sick. You know what I'm saying? Everybody buys clothes. Everybody has an interest. Maybe not everyone's interested in that vintage style, but it's a big trend right now. Yeah. I remember when I was in San Bern, bro, like walking down Fairfax. Yeah. Like all the thrift stores that are reselling vintage Nike, Adidas clothes for like $200 a shirt.
So expensive.
I'm like,
and people buy that stuff all the time. That's the thing.
That's why they're in business. Yeah, people are buying.
You see the price tag $200, you're thinking no one's gonna buy that, and then you see someone wearing it down the street. You're like, oh yeah, no, people are buying it.
It was insane, and it just looks good. You know what I'm saying? You get this nostalgic feeling, and that's the feeling I got when I was in there. I'm like, dude, like this reminds me of when I was a kid. Like I would wear these like turquoise sweatpants. Windbreakers. Yeah, with like a red windbreaker. I'm like, what the heck was I wearing? But that was like the style.
Dude, it's in right now.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's cool, man. Like it's such a cool concept, and it's so dope to see you do that. Like, again, if you ever post, like we're down to just like retweet your stuff or share your stuff, like
for sure.
Dude, from everything, like we're for it, man.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about selling like shoes? Because I know reselling shoes is huge.
I have. I just need to get more capital. To be honest. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, because. I mean, I try off of the sneaker app for Nike.
It's a no-go. Miserably. Taking L's every time.
Every single time, man.
Dude, that's people that are ahead of the game right there.
Yeah.
It's thrown off the market, but that's why things are so expensive. Like sneakers are so expensive because people are buying them and reselling them for more. You know what I'm saying?
I had a habit of always going to Nike outlets, and I always go in the back. You know, if you've ever been to a Nike outlet, the back wall, it's always like 20-30% off or something like that. And so I'd go and I'd end up buying shoes that I thought I was going to wear all the time or liked. And then I would like never end up wearing them. And then I was like, God, I just sit in my room, like collecting dust. I'm like, what am I doing? Like I spent $80 on these, and then like retail was like $150 at the time. And so I would like look into like YouTube videos and say like, okay, well, how do I sell it? Where do I sell it? How do I do it? You know, I ended up finding out that you'd sell that stuff through eBay pretty easily. Yeah. And so I ended up doing that. And some of the shoes I ended up buying for that time, like I bought them for maybe $60. I ended up reselling them for $80, but not even knowing like what I was doing, you know what I mean? So if you know the market, you know what shoes are hot, you know what to look for, and you go in, I'm sure you could go into those outlet stores or whatever, buy some shoes and then resell them pretty easily for a profit. Yeah. It's a good market. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been interesting. I do want to get into that a little bit more as time goes on, but we'll see.
That'd definitely be a good idea because you just be hitting a different demographic, like someone like Gabe.
Yeah, well, like I said, like it's just a capital, like money. You just need that money because you just buy one shoe, like it's just one shoe. Somebody's gonna buy it,
right?
But if you buy a lot, like a ton of shoes, you basically have that market already
for sure. Yeah, I'm following some resellers on YouTube, and that's what he does. He goes to the outlets and he'll buy like 15 pairs of the same sneaker. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to wait till around December time when it's for Christmas and stuff. And then I'm going to sell them for $60 higher than what I bought them for. And he has 12 pairs there. If he sells them all, which he usually does, I mean, do you make $600, $700, $800 profit on all those shoes? But that person has a following behind him. He has all those things that are helping him. And he has
an understanding of the market.
Yeah, he understands
You can't just buy a random pair of shoes. I'm sure he buys shoes that are going to be trending. Or you know what I'm saying? I feel like that's the most difficult thing. Like you say, like you lack the capital. Like another thing that I wonder with that kind of stuff is like how do you know how much to spend on a shirt and how much to resell it for? Like, do you ever like when you do that, do you ever lose money? You know what I'm saying? Has that been like an issue that you've found yourself in? Like, or
I mean, you're gonna lose money, and I think in any business at some point you're gonna lose money. And you kind of have to know that ahead of time and take that risk at some point.
Taking risks,
yeah. So I bought shirts for like $60 and I sell it for $30. And so I'm taking
damn. Does that hurt? Does that hurt when you're selling it for $30? You're like, God damn, I spent $60.
But you learn with those things, you know? Like
absolutely.
You think it's a cool shirt, but nobody's gonna buy it.
Yeah.
So we end up selling it for $30. Like you at least got it off your shelf, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, I've bought in $3 shirts and I've sold them for $60. So it's just like you're gonna take your losses, you're gonna take your win.
But you're learning in the process, which I think is the most important thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's sick, dude. Well, I mean, bro, honestly, we've talked about everything there was to talk about. We just want to thank you for your time. Thank you for agreeing to do this, for sharing your story. If there's anybody out there that has any questions about reRacked, if they have any questions about moving on to the next level, any questions in the Santa Rosa area about getting to the JC or maybe Azusa Pacific.
For sure.
Would you be comfortable with people hitting you up about that kind of stuff with questions?
Absolutely, yeah.
You want to just drop your Instagram handle where people can reach you at?
I gotta look it up, man.
That's fine.
I got to.
It's fine. We got nothing but time, bro.
Yeah. But look up reRacked on Instagram.
Yeah, man. For sure. Check out reRacked.
Yeah, we'll be posting something about them. We're sure to give you a shout out on our posts and stuff. And
absolutely.
We're sure to give you a follow, man. Because
Eddie_ALV8.
There it is.
Eddie_ALV8. For those listening at home, everybody watching us on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you guys enjoyed this one. Eddie Alvarado.